All right, thanks guys. Ravi, it's great to be here with you and excited to talk to you about Catawiki. But I think interesting for the audience as well is you have been one of the early leaders of one of the biggest successes in tech in the world at Flipkart. And
Yep.
so I wondered maybe if you could share with the audience some of the lessons you learned from seeing that company go through these amazing stages of growth.
Sure. I think Flipkart for me, just to give a context, was a journey that started in 2011 when the valuation was about $100 million. I left in 2015 when the valuation was about $15 billion. So in 4.5 years, we had tons of learnings along the way. It would take half a day to just document those. But if I pull back and look at the big picture of what made Flipkart really successful and exit at 21 billion this year to Walmart, were basically three things that distinguished us from the rest of the pack in the market. The first one, I would say, was the purity of intent, to put it crudely, was the purity of the intent of the founders. They were in it for the long run from day one. So they were not looking to flip the company over to the next investor who came along their way.
In spite of the name.
In spite, yes. So they had opportunities to exit at 10 million, 50 million, 100 million, 500 million, and even a billion.
Yeah.
But one of the founders still continues, and the other guy left because he had strategic differences with Walmart. That, I think, was a big differentiator between the way we built that company versus some of the other guys in the ecosystem. Second one, to me, was their focus on technology from day one. So from day one, they were very clear that this is a tech business, not a retail business, and we have to build it in the right manner. So we scaled from 50 engineers when I joined to about 1,000 engineers when I left. So we invested and kept investing at every point of time. The third one, in my view, was about getting the right people and keeping a very high bar on hiring and everything that goes with it. So everybody in the company who was hired had 5 interviews, and each of the 5% had to say yes. And they had an active top box management and bottom box management strategy in place that worked at every level. We had 3 CFO exits in 1 year after I joined as part of this process. So to me, those 3, Michiel, would be the key learnings. One, the purity of the intent, the focus on technology, and raising or keeping a very high bar on people.
Great. So let's flip now to Catawiki. And like many of the great companies here in Europe, the company did very well in growing fast through a focus on metrics.
Yep.
And looking at marketing from the lens of optimizing, seeing the numbers, and taking the right decisions every day.
Yeah.
When you came in originally as kind of marketing manager, you brought this whole new perspective of focusing on brand values and on customer. How do you combine those two, and what were your kind of main steps there?
Yeah. I think as a tech business, you have to be data-driven. So metrics have to rule. So that's the lifeline of the company. But you have to be clear about what comes first. If you start seeing a strategic plan for the year which says, let's improve retention by 2%, let's improve marketing efficiency by 10%, and let's improve people efficiency by 15%, then you know that you have stepped into the wrong zone. So you have to be clear, what is your strategy? What is the experience you are trying to give to your customers? What makes you different? And how will you deliver that experience? And each step of that process has to be spelled out. After that, the way you deliver it has to be measured by granular data, insights, KPIs, dashboards, and that's how you deliver on it. But if you don't have it in place first, and you start looking at data right away and jump into the ocean of data that we generate nowadays, then you will probably get it wrong. So to me, it's the order of what you want to do and how you want to do it, and distinguishing between the two.
Another thing that makes the platform really special is this reliance on experts, and it has really brought the component of trust and the ability to go into many different categories. On the other hand, we're seeing across the board a switch to AI, machine learning to kind of power businesses in a vertical way.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing to take the experts but also bring the technology?
Yeah. I think that's where the magic lies. I think this is probably, and that's why I'm excited about this company and this business. This is one of the most exciting problems to solve. There are a lot of models where you can use the data to predict what's going to happen next. So if you have 1 million data points, you know what's going to happen next and use that to predict it. Here, I think we are trying to combine expertise of people about special objects, which have no repeatability. So if you get a stamp from Germany today, another stamp from Germany may be entirely different because a tooth may be missing. So it's that knowledge of that expert that if a tooth in the stamp is missing, then what should be the value of this stamp is what needs to be coded into the machines. And that's what we are trying to do. And that's where the scalability of this business and the big potential of this business lies, that if you can use the learning and the knowledge of the expert and build that intelligence into the machines, not just based on past trends, but based on what he thinks should be the right way to value a product, that's where I think the effort of the company is, and that's where machine learning and AI will drive the next wave of Catawiki in the next 3 years.
And is that a 5% improvement? What are you talking about there?
Oh, we are talking about multiples. So today, for example, our early efforts in the last 6 months have given us about 10 to 15% efficiency improvements. I think if you truly look at the limits, we are looking at 70% improvement on the curating efficiency that we have today in the platform. So that's a big picture for us.
Great. So it is a company that grew very fast from kind of 50 to almost 500 people.
Yep.
And with the complexity of business, what do you do to keep the team agile and really delivering on quick results?
I think you have to keep thinking about the structure of the company at every stage. So when you grow from 10 people to 50 people to 100 people, 200 people, you have to keep thinking about what structure makes sense. So what we have done to manage the complexity in the business is we have structured our business into 4 verticals on the business side. So we have collectibles, we have art and antiques, we have luxury, and we have mobility. And each business is driven by a general manager who is in charge of the profitability of the business and the top line of the business. That has worked very well to distinguish the noise from the signals. So within the business, you know exactly what's happening. Second thing we have done is doing the same on the product side. So the product is now split into 3 verticals. One thing, everything to do with getting a lot into auction. So from the seller submitting a lot to the lot going on auction is one vertical. The second is everything that happens between the lot and the visitors, which is engagement. And third is once a lot has been won, then what happens to the fulfillment after the lot is won by a customer. So those are 3 verticals. So it makes it easy for each vertical to track their KPIs and their improvements very easily without getting distracted by noise from the other verticals, so to speak. So that's one way of doing it, and maybe when we grow, we have to further split this even further.
Sounds good. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Michiel. It was a pleasure.
Okay, bye.
Thanks a lot.